Hello and welcome everyone to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I'm your host Sam, and today we are back again with another very exciting topic. That's too very controversial and that's too very hot. So before moving ahead, let me read out this very important disclaimer. By watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not a legal advice. So use of information is at your own risk. All right, once again, friends, welcome back everyone to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. And today, the topic that we are going to delve that is H1Bs and legal immigration reform, Musk versus MAGA. So this is a very hot topic, and this is actually creating a lot of buzz on social media and is on top of everyone's notification right now. So today we are going to explore lots of different opinions, a very eye-opening facts, a very different information that most of our viewers are not aware of. And as the topic is very interesting, and even to make this session more interesting, I have a very special guest for you, friends, and who has joined us for the second time in today's channel. So let me welcome attorney Amin Yacoub, an expert in immigration law with an impressive track record with a strong background in litigation. And before his current role at Bogin Munns Munns, Mr. Yacoub also ran his own solo practice, helping clients navigate complex immigration and litigation challenges. So welcome, Amin. I'm really happy that you are here, and we are so grateful that for the second time we are meeting again, and
Yeah,
after
thank
again
you
a
for
very,
having
very, very insightful topic.
thank you for having me for the second time.
Absolutely. So I think before delving into the topic, I would like to know it from you that what's the status right now? I mean, what's the current rule that's happening around Musk versus Mega? I mean, what's in the plate right now?
So I believe before we delve into this, it's worth noting that there is the final rule for H1B, which was passed and went into effect on January 12th, I believe, or 17th. Basically, it reformed somehow the H1B to a great extent. So it made several changes to the old H1B rule, and now, for example, the H1B is eligible for entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs can apply for H1B for the first time ever, and of course that they have to meet certain requirements and they have to meet certain specifications. But for the first time ever, entrepreneurs can actually petition for themselves under certain conditions and apply for H1Bs. So the Biden administration, before leaving, actually passed the final H1B rule, and it went into effect on January 17th. So that is, I would say, a good way of starting this discussion because the new rule was not reversed yet. So right now we still have the valid, effective new H1B rule, and it was put into effect before Biden administration left. And it would be interesting to see what happens next regarding the H1B. But for now, what we have into effect is the Biden administration's H1B. Uh,
Um, I think due to some reason we have lost Amin, but Amin, can you hear us? I think, friends, due to some connectivity issue, I think Amin is here. Amin, can you hear us?
yes, I can. So what
Okay.
was the last thing I've stopped at?
Yeah, you're saying about the rule that now we are going to look forward towards this year and
Yeah. So to summarize, there was the H-1B new rule, and it was passed under Biden's administration, went into effect on January 17th of 2025. And
Mhm.
it, for the first time, it opened the way for entrepreneurs to self-sponsor themselves. So that is a unique way of basically uh, sponsoring yourself under the new H-1B rule. It will be interesting to see what happens in the future regarding the current debate on H-1B under Trump's new administration. But until then, what we have into effect is the Biden's administration new and what we call final.
I think due to some reason we are not able to connect with him. But I think, friends, we should wait for some time so that I think Amin can connect with his internet again. And I think he's back again. All right. Amin, can you hear us right now? We can't hear you. I think your mic is off.
Yeah, I was saying if there's a problem in the connection, probably I will need the help of the IT, and I can be back in 5-10 minutes. Okay.
That's okay. That's okay. That's completely okay. I think our viewers can wait for some times, and till then, viewers, it would be great. We will connect back after some time. So prepare your questions. Prepare all the information that you have been going through related to this topic, and make sure to comment all those questions. Because this 1 hour is going to be very informative, very insightful. So make sure to post all your questions and put the comments so that we can have a very lively discussion, a very healthy discussion. So stay tuned. We are coming back just after some time. So keep watching this show and we'll be right back.
Hello, can you hear me again?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Perfect.
Sam will.
Yeah, hopefully this time it's not gonna go offline. So the IT fixed something here,
No
and
problem, sir. Thank you.
yeah, apologies regarding this. Thank you.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. After a short break, I'm so sorry that due to some reason we just need to take a leave. But that's okay. We are back again, and I think now I would like to welcome our attorney, Amin Yacoub. Please, Amin, come to the floor and let us know as you were explaining about the H1B rule. So please go ahead. Our audience are really waiting for your insights.
Yeah, apologies regarding going offline. We fixed the problem officially. So
That's
going back to the final H1B rule, so it went into effect on January 17th of 2025, and for the first time, it opened the floor for entrepreneurs to sponsor themselves, and it also included some changes to specialty occupation and the cap for the H1B between basically going from F1 status into the H1B status. It extended the cap for that and the gap between statuses. So it made several changes that are kind of positive for everyone. Now, it would be interesting to see what the Trump administration will bring to the table, uh, probably by an executive order, because he likes issuing a lot of executive orders. So we will be interested to see what's going to happen in the future. I just wanted to introduce this because this is a new development into the H1B arena, and it would be a good kind of introduction to the debate about the legal reform and the H1B that is going on between Musk and Trump, or let's say it's not Trump, it's MAGA. Trump sided actually this time in this administration with Musk's side. So let's see what happens in the future. But you can go ahead and ask me regarding the debate that is going on.
Absolutely. And my next question is to you, first of all. Thank you so much, Armin, for letting us know about the H1B final rule. And that's also a very important news. And I'm sure most of our viewers know about it and, gets into the deep analysis of it. But coming back to our topic, Musk versus Mega, it's a very, I would say, a very controversial topic, and it's for the very first time, that our viewers are seeing that there's a division, there's a split between in the Trump's administration itself. So this is a very new thing, and this is a very, I would say, a different thing, and people are so confused. So to make them even more clear, and I would like to know it from you, like, can you explain what is actually Musk agendas and what is actually mega agenda, what they both are looking in terms of H1B visas and the immigration reform?
Yeah. So to start answering this question, I would have to give a little bit of history about Musk. So he came here to the U.S. on an H-1B, and then he applied for the EB-2 and AW, and then he got it, and then he adjusted his status accordingly. So he was a beneficiary of the H-1B program in the past, and he understands as an employer in the tech industry the importance of the H-1B program. So starting from this point, Musk's position is we need engineers, we need high level engineers, we need high level mathematicians and people in STEM fields. And his argument is mostly people come from India who are highly developed in these fields, and they are advanced way more than most other nations. So the argument is why not open the H1B to the merit based Indians who come here and benefit the US through our companies? And the reply from MAGA was, if we've done that, then they're going to be replacing Americans, and we should put America first. And the counter reply from Musk's side was basically what you're saying is wrong, because if we have expanded the businesses, if we have expanded the frontiers of human knowledge and tech, That means basically we're hiring more employees and we're getting more Americans hired, even in top positions. So no one replaces anyone in the system because the US is a capitalist country. It's not like we have limited pie for everyone to eat. It's like the more you work, the more you develop, you have a bigger pie, and that means more people are going to eat from that pie, to put it simply. So after some while, Trump engaged in conversation, right? And he was like, "Well, I've used many H1Bs in the industry. I like them. I like the system, and we're gonna keep it." So he sided with Musk's side as opposed to MAGA's side. Now, MAGA did not basically stop attacking the other side because America's first, Americans first, and it's what everyone was voting for Trump for. So what happens if Trump sided with Musk and basically they expanded the H-1B rule instead of basically allowing Americans to assume the highest positions, they allowed foreigners to assume the highest positions. I would say 70% of H-1B holders are Indians. So it's specific for the population of the H-1B somehow. It's not their problem that there's more in math and tech. But the thing is, now the question is, should we remove the cap from the H-1B for Indians or in general? Because we have 65,000 for bachelor's degree holders and 20,000 for master's degree holders.
Absolutely, that's a very good point. And also, I would also like to know, Aman, from you that how could their views impact the future policies? I mean, what differences or what changes can we see in the future?
Yeah, that would be very interesting to see. But what I think is, or what I would predict is, the H1B would hold its place, and it's basically for the functionality of most enterprises, high-level enterprises in the U.S. So there is, unfortunately, the way MAGA thinks about it is not accurate in terms of economic development of the U.S. and making the U.S. a leader in tech. So to maintain its position as a leader in tech and all basically the frontiers of knowledge, the U.S. needs the H-1B. I cannot get rid of the H-1B. We have also Professor Matthew Cook, who is a physicist. He spoke about the H-1B a long time before. He was at a conference and he said, "Well, that's the American weapon to get very highly talented people to the U.S. and to keep the U.S. At the frontiers of human knowledge and entrepreneurship and businesses and tech." So I would actually expect if something happened to the H-1B program, the U.S. would very much feel it as soon as they do that, and that for that reason, I don't believe that Trump will actually pass something that would contradict what I'm saying here. He's not going to go for like basically stopping the H-1B program, but I believe there is going to be some kind of reform to the H-1B program.
All right. Okay, but also, Aman, I would like to know it from you that if we look into the first term of Trump, then he was quite against the H1B, right? He was mostly, we have heard in his speeches that he has said that they're not going to have H1B more. H1Bs are not very much good for the Americans, for the nation, right? And in the second term, we are seeing a little shift on his ideologies. So he is right now, I won't say that completely in favor of the H1B workers, but in the mega, they are the people who are a bit conservative. They are the people who are very much on their phones, and that's about America First agenda. So my question to you is that what do you think that during the first term till the second term, what made Trump shift his ideologies? I mean, why is he favoring right now the H1B workers, and why was he so against in his first term? I mean, what can be the reason behind it?
Yeah. Um, Personally, I think the reason behind it is Elon Musk again, just the way he sees him. He invited him to see the SpaceX rocket going back and forth and landing back after it went to space. And Trump was mesmerized by what he saw, by what he saw, and he actually went back and in his rallies was talking about it all the time. It's like this guy is doing something above and beyond all nations combined, even the U.S. So for Trump, who is always in a position of power, and power seems a big aspect of Trump's administration and Trump himself as a person, he wouldn't like to lose power. He wouldn't like to lose Egypt. He would like to be at the frontier of power, no matter what the price. So if Musk is powerful and if Trump likes power, then he wouldn't basically let Musk down in this debate. That's why I believe he sided with Musk this time as opposed to MAGA. I mean, MAGA or whatever, they're good people, they're trying their best and so forth, but they're not creating rockets that can actually basically put the US on Mars or or the most advanced technology on planet Earth. So it's for Trump, he sees that this term in his administration. Last administration, it was not that obvious. He was thinking of H1Bs, unfortunately, in a lesser way. He was thinking of them as he actually spoke about it. Like they're the winemakers. They are people who come here with very specialty occupation, and they do a great job in creating wineries and stuff like that. But he saw the first hand what Musk could achieve in different companies, and he was like, well, we can actually have a better America if we allowed more people like Musk in. And that's the way he changed his views, in my opinion.
Absolutely, and I think that's very well understandable because in his first term we haven't seen Musk being more close to Trump, and in the second term we have seen that they have a very good bond. They have a very close relationship, and it's very obvious that they both are businessmen, so they have a little common genre, common niche. So that may also be the reason. And also, Amin, my next question to you would be that, okay, fine, you are saying that Trump is going to support the H1B workers. And in the upcoming year, under Trump's era, we are going to see a little, towards the H1B workers, there will be little reform, but it won't be any restrictive kind of thing, right? But what can you say about ending the birthright citizenship? Because it's a very I would say a very difficult and a very challenging executive order that Trump has put up during his first day only. So it's affecting mostly the H1B workers because they are the one who is contributing a lot to the US economy and they are the one who is going to suffer. So what's your
Yeah,
call on that? Do you think he's doing something but he's not saying something, or what Trump
yeah.
is actually?
It's a very interesting question actually because he cannot support H1Bs on the one side and disagrees with birthright of citizenship on the other side, especially for Indians again, because we're assuming that 70% of H1Bs are Indians. And we Indians have a very late priority date for EB2 NIWs and EB1As. So when we're talking about H1Bs, we're actually talking about mostly Indians, uh,
Yeah.
and that's based on facts. So that means he cannot basically support that and at the same time say, well, your newborn is not going to be a U.S. citizen. And once he passed this, for now, that's my view. Uh, Trump's view is there are two distinct matters. For him, he is trying to fight people who come to the U.S. and try to get their wives to give birth to a son or a daughter and make them American and then return back to their home countries. And they would be holding the U.S. passports for life. And honestly, and actually, it does not mean anything. I mean, someone who was born on the U.S. Soil, and he or she will go back to their home countries with their kids. So why you did it in the first place, and what is the meaning of the U.S. citizenship for that baby, for the future? He or she would be a different nationality. He would be belonging to a different country all his life. He would be actually fighting for a different army if they lived in their country all their lives. So he's actually trying to stop that from happening. That's why he mentioned tourism, temporary workers, and so forth. But I believe it was a rushed executive order because even the terms of the visas in the executive order was put as examples, but not limited to, and they were put and it's like tourism, students, and temporary workers, and then it was temporary people who are staying in the U.S. But it did not detail any kind of visa statuses. It did not detail what kind of temporary status versus permanent. I mean, like, is it a green card the only way to actually get the people who are born in the U.S. to get the citizenship? So it was very summarized and very rushed executive order. 2 days after Trump passed it, the federal judge actually issued a restraining order. So the restraining order legally keeps it blocked for 14 days. The next step is a preliminary injunction, which usually takes place before the end of the 14th day. And if the lawyers can prove that there is irreparable harm, and at the same time the petitioner will be able to win on the merits, the judge will be likely to actually block the order until further notice, usually after the Supreme Court is done with the review of the order. So I expect the order to be blocked until maybe a year or two afterwards, until the Supreme Court sees the matter and decides it. Now, if we talked about the Supreme Court and how it would decide the matter, honestly, I don't have a doubt. I mean, as the federal judge said, anyone who sees that kind of order as constitutional did not go to any law school. It's just super obvious. It cannot contradict with the 14th Amendment in the U.S. Constitution. And if he needs to actually reverse the 14th Amendment, he cannot do it via executive order. He has to do it through two-thirds of both the Senate House and the House of Representatives, and also the three-fourths of all the U.S. states parliaments. So otherwise, it's not doable. So that is the beginning of all problems. But again, going back to your question, if we have people who are on H1Bs and they are having a kid, a newborn right now, the newborn will be a U.S. citizen. And in 14 days, he or she will be a U.S. citizen. And I believe in the near future, they will actually be U.S. citizens until the U.S. Supreme Court decides whether that actually holds up or not.
Mhm. Right. And also, I think Trump was about to end the birthright citizenship during his first term as well, but he didn't get the majority of support during his first term. And that's why he is right now. But also, we can see that most of the temporary workers, they are finding it quite unfair to have this ending the birthright citizenship. But I think we don't know what's going to happen. But I think the judge, he also said that it's unconstitutional, and it's not going to happen. But we can't. We can't decide anything. What's going to happen? What's not? But okay, that's all right. But also, I would like to know it from you. My next question: that how might this internal conflict in MEGA is going to influence the future immigration reform? Yeah, about the future, I would like to know.
Yeah. So if we actually took a look at, so the new debate actually made us all think about the legal immigration system in the US. And that's a very, very important topic. So the first point of Trump was, I'm going to be fighting the illegal immigration into the US.
Yeah.
But this kind of debate about the H1B was now it's talking about the legal immigrants in the US. And if we took a closer look at the legal immigration system in the US, it's kind of repelling. It's not actually designed to attract and keep and retain people in the US. Basically, you're a student here in the US, unlike Canada, for example, you have to go back to your country. You're a temporary worker, you have to go back to your country. So, unlike Australia, Canada, and other countries, you're not here to get a green card afterwards. you have to be some kind of special to obtain the green card. So the system initially was designed not to keep as many foreigners as we might think. Actually, the exceptions are EB2 national interest waiver. It's a waiver. EB1 extraordinary ability. EB5 investment visa, which is $800,000 up to $1,050,000. And if we thought about all the immigrant visas, unless you're married to an American spouse, it's kind of very, very difficult to actually get the green card, as opposed to different immigration systems all over the world. So it's not that new of a discussion here. It's actually referring to an old discussion regarding what immigration should be like in the U.S. But since many immigrants are super successful right now in
Yeah.
many positions, now people are reconsidering their positions into all of this. Should we keep the H1B? Should we try to expand it or not? Now, a very important point is the H1B is abused. Everyone knows that somehow. So the question here becomes, what can we do not to allow people or employers to abuse the H1B system? So what kind of measures can we take to stop the abuse of the H1B system? And if we can actually put forward those measures to fix the system, there's no way we Americans are not going to benefit from the H1Bs. Again, it's H1Bs create more jobs, at least statistically, to everyone else. So it's not that far away from seeing Americans benefiting from the H1B as well.
That's right. That's right. Also, Amin, I would like to know it from you as this ending the birthright citizenship is a very, I mean, problematic right now, especially for the H1B workers. So, is it like the time there's 14 days of extension, right, for that decision, that final decision? And for example, if that gets implemented, for example, if that becomes in the constitution, so the people, those who are already the US citizen, those immigrants, especially the H1B workers who already got the green card with the H1B visas, do they also have to get worried after the implementation of this ending the birthright citizenship, or they won't have to worry at all?
Yeah, they don't have to worry because there is a rule of law basically that says you cannot apply the new law retroactively. So no matter what happens in the future, it will stay to the future, including this executive order, by the way. So it was not applied. It's not supposed to apply until March. So the judge stopped it anyway, and the opposing argument was very convincing. Honestly, was saying, well, even though it's unconstitutional, why are you issuing a restraining order for 14 days if it's not going to be applied in 14 days? So the law cannot apply retroactively because, again, that's unconstitutional. And there is no constitution in the world that I'm aware of that actually allows law to apply retroactively. So anyone who has citizenship or anyone who has kids who have the U.S. citizenship, they all should be okay. Now, my advice is, if you do have a kid right now, you have a newborn, uh, don't be late in registering, going for the U.S. passport procedures or whatever, or getting the birth certificate and going further with the procedures. There's nothing that can stop you from doing so, and probably the executive, again, the restraining order will extend into a preliminary injunction, and it all will stop sometime until the Supreme Court decides the case. But why risk all of this? Just go ahead and go for the U.S. passport for your newborns.
Right, right. That's very well explained. Also, Amin, I would like to know it from you because most of the, especially the mega movement, I mean, there are people who are not in favor of the H1B workers, and there is the other side, Musk, who is pro H1B workers. He has, I think, in Tesla, there are more than 70% of Indians who are working over there, and they all are in the H1B visas. So it shows that the one of the biggest companies in the whole world, that is Tesla, and there are lots of H1B workers. So, from my side, I don't think without the H1B workers or without the immigrants, America can be that great. But I would like to know it from your end. Like, for example, if the H1B visas are not very much favorable, then what challenges do US companies face if the H1B visas are restricted?
Many challenges in my view, and in Musk's view, and in many leaders' view, and that's based on personal experience. So it's not like Musk is saying that out of like theory or something. It was in practice, in his experience, trying to hire engineers for Tesla, or trying to
Mm-hmm.
hire aerospace engineers for SpaceX. But again, SpaceX has a special occasion because it's funded by the U.S. federal government.
Yeah.
Has contracts with the government, so he's not allowed to hire many foreigners. He's not allowed. I believe he's not allowed to hire, for example, pending studies and different categories of immigrants. It's like NASA, for example. So no one who doesn't have the U.S. citizenship can be
Mm-hmm.
hired in NASA. It's like a matter of national security. But otherwise, in terms of Tesla, he hired many engineers. If you actually heard the engineer beside him when he's testing the autopilot for the first time, he's an Indian engineer. The second one is basically most of the engineers, leader engineers at Tesla, they're mostly Indians, according to Musk. So he said basically, if we're retaining the best talent in the world, we're going to keep the US at the front of knowledge and tech. So we should keep doing that, and that's the main argument for Musk. And he also said that negatively, basically, if I could find people, find Americans who can actually do that, who can actually be at the forefront of the tech level and the engineering level, then I would hire them. But for now, I cannot find any, and that actually made many people furious, especially MAGA supporters. And later he said, well, maybe the H1Bs can actually train the Americans in engineering and other fields so that they make progress in that respect. And then Ramaswamy, he wrote a tweet regarding the situation saying, well, in India, math and tech is encouraged among kids. People would actually be proud, saying, "Well, I'm the first in my class in math or science or whatever." STEM field. In America, the situation is not the same, and that actually got him out of Doge to some extent, and according to some people at least. So it's a very hot debate, and it's a very political debate. We cannot, unfortunately, in immigration, detach the politics of whatever is going on from the legal side, because usually the politics feed in the legal side and says, well, we're going to change the law in that respect. We have to go to the Congress. We have to listen to all points of view, and then they start drafting something new. But again, that happened multiple times in the past, not to the same strong extent.
Yeah.
And the Congress has not changed the INA Act since 1990. Immigration is not that easy to change. It's very, very controversial and very strong topic to actually say, well, we're going to go right or we're going to go left. And no one will actually agree on right or left. So it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be a very hard debate in the Congress if Trump actually proposed something. What I expect to see is Musk trying to play a role using Doge in trying to actually do something regarding legal immigration and H1Bs by basically introducing tech and other criteria to institutions like USAS, and probably trying to influence some changes in the final rule of the H1B to make it suitable for the next generations of H1Bs. But otherwise, through the Congress, I don't believe that it's a strong chance, but who knows? No one can actually predict the future for 100%, especially when it comes to topics like immigration.
Absolutely. All right. I think that's a pretty lot of information that we are getting right from you. And thank you so much, Amin, for, making us aware about these political views, about these how the immigration reforms will take place, and also the future perspective. Following these questions, I have another question in my mind, and that's about right now. It's not. It's just few days, that Trump has sworn in as the 47th president, and in these few days only, we have seen lots of changes, and not only the changes regarding the policies, but also in Trump's administration, we have seen a little chaos, mega versus Musk. And before that, we haven't seen, the mega movements. They are having conflict, internal conflict. So, is it something that in the future, because now Musk is there, who is a complete supporter of H1B, and mega movement, I mean, mega people who are not the supporter of H1B. So, is this the beginning of the clash that we are seeing right now, or in the future also we could have more clashes between these two different ideologies in the Trump administration? I mean, how the administration would look like in the future.
Yeah. So again, no one can actually guess the future when it comes to immigration stuff like this because it's a very hot debate. But I would say um, the debate is gonna right now it has cooled down to some extent, but it's gonna fire up again if anyone said anything about H1Bs again, especially Trump. If
Right.
he, for example, talked to the people in the upcoming month, for example, and said, well, I'm going to work on the H1Bs, I'm going to expand the H1B program for the talented and skillful immigrants. I believe MAGA is going to reply back, and we're going to see a hot debate again on this issue. Until then, I don't believe anyone is going to bring it up, especially after what happened to um, Ramaswamy, in my opinion. But again, it's just the way things are in immigration. It's very controversial and it's very hot always. And I believe Trump doesn't care much, to be honest with you. And if he wants to do something, he's going to do it anyway, since he's the president here. So he is not going to be taking care of what MAGA will think. And it's his second administration, so that gives him a lot of leeway of doing whatever he wants. So many people is questioning why is Trump different now than the first administration? Basically, because it's the second. He can do whatever, and he doesn't care about a new administration in the future. So this is the final 4 years, and he wants to leave the best stamp possible on all issues in the U.S. And I believe he wants to leave a good legacy after he leaves as well. When it comes to maintaining the US and retaining it as one of the leading countries in tech and all fields.
Right. I think that's very well said. That Trump is like he can do anything whatsoever he wants, and that's very true because most of the time we have seen that he has been selling burgers in McDonald's. Then he is being putting a lot of things. His different comments, his most I would say hilarious comments also regarding Justin Trudeau by considering him the 51st state governor. So I think these are very witty comments that we get from his side, and it's too very interesting to watch. But I think that's so interesting contents, right? And I think I would like to know it from you, like which is your favorite statement from Trump?
Well, too many favorable statements. I think it's just like the getting Canada to be one of the U.S. states and getting
Yeah.
it's just. But anyway, can he do it or not? Who knows? I mean, this guy is super serious this time, and it's like he's going to be having talks about this with the Canadian Prime Minister for sure. So he's not saying stuff this time. He's actually implementing or trying to implement whatever he says. And again, I'm saying this because the first administration, during his first administration, he was not actually acting on many of his promises. But this time, since he took office, he is trying to act on most of his promises. And we shouldn't take that as a surprise because he was actually talking about all these issues during his rallies all over the U.S. So no one should be surprised right now, saying, "Well, what is going on regarding the deportation of illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants, for example?" So undocumented immigrants, because I get too many questions regarding that. are people who have no papers in the U.S. They have never passed through a port of entry, a legal port of entry, like an airport, or through the siege, or even the land border through CBP officers. So they have no papers whatsoever. And people mistake them with pending asylees, for example. So pending asylees have legal papers. They have a COA status. They have pending asylum case that allows them to remain in the U.S. and so forth. So Trump's focus is on undocumented immigrants, and he's trying to deport as many as possible, as we've seen yesterday and 2 days ago, and possibly every day until he has deported most of the illegal immigrants in the U.S.
Absolutely. And I think that's a very brave move that any president should look upon because, according to the stats, also, according to the Pew Research, also, we got to know that there are 4 million illegal immigrants in the US right now. And
Yeah.
these are like currently caught. We are not even sure that there can be more. They are hidden somewhere. They haven't been caught. But it's so unfortunate to feel that there are 14 million, and that's a big amount, big number, and that too illegal. So I think it's just that most of the people they have misused the immigration system, and that's why Trump is taking such a big and such a bold step. So instead of just cribbing, we should also understand that there's also misuse of the immigration system, and that's how it's going to get a better way until and unless there's a very strict rules applied on the immigration system. I mean, what do you
Yeah.
think on this? I mean, what's your call?
Yeah. I would say if Musk or anyone, even Trump, fixed the legal immigration system, that would actually prevent illegal immigrants from coming into the U.S. on the long run. So they're kind of correlated somehow because if you stop immigration at all for everyone, even the talented and the skilled, basically
Hmm.
people try to come in using different ways, and sometimes you would find that you never know. Sometimes a criminal, sometimes a PhD holder coming through
Yeah.
the border because they were rejected like a tourist visa like 200 times or whatever. So
Hmm.
you cannot fix the illegal immigration issue by just deportation. You have to do something regarding the legal immigration issue. And basically, what I think is it has to be done when the person is at or in her home country. So if you want to get this system better, and basically, or you're trying to retain the best talent in the world, try to give them the green cards when they're back in the home countries based on certain criteria. I would say the expansion of EB2 and IW or EB1A or stuff like that, instead of getting people to be stuck in the US on H1Bs and then trying to wait for the priority date for EB2 and IWs and then wait for the priority date and try to apply and the combo card and then wait again until they get the green card processed. And now the new idea of the citizenship and stuff like that, the executive order, people would actually have newborns if it applied without this restraining order, uh, who might be stateless actually if the country of origin does not grant citizenship based on the right of blood, as we call it. So we have two systems: the lex Soli and lex sanguinis. Sanguinis is the right of blood, and Soli is the soil.
Yeah.
So the U.S. and Canada and other nations are having the right of soil. If you're born on the soil, you get this citizenship. But what happens if someone is from a country that does not allow someone basically to pass by blood the citizenship to a newborn, and they're born in the U.S. and this executive order applied? Then we're going to be seeing some very, very difficult scenarios worldwide. It's not going to only influence the U.S., but also different countries in the world. Again, the deportation matter influences different countries' policies as well. So we've seen this yesterday with Colombia and the communication between the Colombian president and President Trump. And basically, um, the question becomes: is it about Trump deporting people, or is it about non-communication between Trump's administration and other countries' administrations? Because that becomes a matter of sovereignty. Each country has its own sovereignty. So basically, you cannot just leave people to go to a different country by force. It's like, it's not, you cannot force a different country to accept even its own nationals. Uh, so you would have to at least talk to the president of the other country and do that through political and diplomatic ways. Otherwise, it's going to be a kind of an affront to the sovereignty of the other nation. And that's what happened yesterday, until, of course, Trump used his power in negotiations and so forth, and it was resolved. It's going to be interesting to see what's next. But my point of view here is, if the U.S. changed the legal system of immigration and influenced the legal immigration to attract the best talents in the world, and made the system very efficient, the U.S. will not have a big problem regarding illegal immigrants, especially if it had strong borders. So if it has strong borders plus fixing the legal immigration system, that's done.
Absolutely. And I think I also completely agree with these information that you have been sharing. It's more about like, if the legal, I mean, if the immigration system is going to be set up properly, then automatically the illegal ones have to leave the country. And I think that's very well explained, and that's very well, understandable what you are saying. Also, Amin, I would like to know it from you. Like, if we go ahead and if we also went through those news, like Trump is about to give green cards to the international students. So this is also a recent news that we have been through. And what's your views on that? Because Trump is on the other side. He is not favoring the H1B workers. And on the other side, the international students, he said that he is going to give them the green card. And I mean, I don't know what to say, but what's your call on that? I mean, what it is? He's
Yeah.
okay to give green card to the international students, but not the H1B workers. So yeah, please go
Yes.
ahead.
So it sounds kind of like he likes the legal immigrants. He sounds like he likes them. But at the same time, in his administration this time, he also likes H1Bs to some extent, as opposed to the first administration, based on what as I shared my point of view, based on Musk and so forth. But the
Yeah.
thing is, would it be possible to grant green cards based on education in the US? To a great extent, the answer is no, because again, there is a lot of pushback, and the system will maintain its way of keeping only the best talent or people who are spouses to the U.S. citizens or legal permanent residents. It's not going to be an open immigration system like Canada or other countries, in my opinion. It would be interesting to see something that is happening against my opinion, but it's in my opinion, it's kind of impossible to have a U.S. That is inviting everyone to be U.S. citizens by giving the green cards to every student who actually has a degree from a U.S. university, because millions of students come to the U.S. and study here. So unlike Canada, who can actually apply for the permanent residency afterwards and so forth based on different criteria, here it's if you're not talented enough, if you could not secure a position with a U.S. employer, like to get sponsored for an H-1B, you have no way of staying in the U.S. People actually try to do like a file for asylum and stay here, even the pending asylum application. The ENA Act says, well, this is a legal authorization, not really a legal status. And there is a lot of problems that actually goes into this, because when you try to adjust status, you try to think about it. Have you maintained legal status since the moment you actually entered the U.S. until now? Now there's a matter of Orban decision and so forth, but 20% of USCIS officers have, they don't apply it, for example. So it's the way the system is designed is to keep only the best, and not necessarily the best, because if we took a closer look, actually, you're going to find the diversity visa that takes people randomly from all over the world and grant them green cards when they're living in their own countries. So, like internally, the system seems like it only attracts the best and retains the best. But externally, it seems like the system attracts random people with very low profiles. I mean, who knows? Like some of them are very high profile or very high profiles, but some other people are with very low profiles. So why are you stopping them from coming through the borders and allowing the diversity visa to take place if you just want the best to come to the U.S. and to be permanent residents here? So there are a lot of questions regarding the legal immigration system that I
Yeah.
believe we cannot cover in here. But it would be interesting to see what's next for Trump.
I think we all are waiting so much that what's going to happen next, because with these few days only, also, I mean, there are so many things that's covering a huge news, everywhere. So people are concerned, some people are happy. So there's a lot to discuss. But also, Amin, thank you so much for letting us know. And one thing I loved about is that you have been, uncovering all the positive sides as well, because most of the people, they are very afraid, they are very concerned. I mean, obviously they have to be concerned, but it's not that it's something negative they are going to happen, or it's not something that they are losing the hope. They should not lose the hope of permanent residency, because it's more about highly skilled workers that Trump is looking in, in his term. And that's one of the best way, because that's also going to improve people, as their skills are also going to develop, their degrees are also going to get better. So it's basically the competition needs to be tightened enough, and that's how, if you're best, then go ahead and come to the US. So I think that's very well explained, Alman. And I would also like to take up our viewers' question. So, firstly, here's Bal Krishnan question, and he's saying that as someone running a startup, I'm trying to hire talent from abroad. With Musk advocating for easier access to skilled immigrants and MAGA wanting to tighten the rules, do you think we will see more scrutiny or changes in the H1B process?
Yeah. So for now, we are sticking to the law in effect, which is the final H1B rule that went into effect on January 17th of 2025. Based on that law, you yourself will be able to sponsor many employees if you're having a valid job offers, valid contracts, and basically tax returns showing that you can pay them and so forth. Regarding yourself, you can actually sponsor it yourself based on that
Yeah.
rule as well. Now, whenever Trump passes something in the future, we will have to look at it, and it's going to be applying to the future, not retroactively. And that would be the time to actually answer your question, because until then, we're applying and we're abide by the new H-1B rule that was passed during Biden's administration before they left.
All right, so thank you so much, Balakrishnan, for your question. In case if you have any follow up or want to know more about the scrutiny or the changes or the process regarding H1B, then please go ahead and post it on the comment section. Let's move ahead with Anjali's question, and she's asking, I know Musk has been critical of current immigration caps. If there's push to lift or reform these caps under his influence, how soon could such a change realistically happen? And there's a follow up question, and how would it impact industries beyond tech? Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think there's going to be much change to the caps of H-1B. Even if they changed it and expanded it somehow to Indians and talented people, regardless of where they come from, it's not going to be a huge of a change. And the reason there is a cap in the first place was to maintain diversity in the U.S. nation. It's basically if we allow only merit-based people to come into the U.S. and let's say 70% of merit people are Indians, that means 200 years from now, mostly the most population of the U.S. might end up as Indian race, So it was in a way designed to put caps on countries that have billions of people, like India and China. That's why we have a backlog as well. But the thing is, and I believe that would be the argument for the other side, basically saying, well, if you're trying to get merit-based people, we have to make sure that there is also a ceiling to that, so that basically not a quarter of India would be a quarter of India would actually flood the U.S. Would actually replace all Americans, not Americans, everyone else. So it's
Yeah.
like they would have to keep it capped. But honestly, I believe they're going to expand it a little bit because right now it's super low. Again, 65,000 plus 20,000, that's nothing. And the exempt from the cap would be non-profit organizations and community and stuff like that. So it's not efficient in terms of getting H1Bs in the tech industry right now.
Absolutely. And there are so many H1B visa applicants who have been waiting for 10 years, 12 years, so that they can just get the approval. So it's a very, I would say, a very lengthy process, especially in the country regarding India and China. There are so many people who have been applying for this, and it's very hard, it's very tough for them to get those, H1B visas. So I
Of
hope,
course.
Anjali,
Yeah, I
if
just want to comment very fast on what you said right now because it's
yeah.
very important. So the people, especially MAGA, they assume that if you applied for the H1B, you're going to get it. But they forget that it's a lottery process. Only 20% of people actually end up with an
Right.
H1B. So it's not that guaranteed to actually get the H1B. It's super difficult to get an H1B. So there's no way we people like Musk and others who have used the H1Bs in the past would actually agree to limiting the H1B because they know that it's extremely difficult right now. If they want to do something about it, they're going to expand the cap a little bit, as I suggested, but I don't believe they're going to remove caps. That's what I'm saying here, and try to make the process efficient. So instead of having a 20% chance, probably the chance should actually transform into merit-based considerations. So instead of having 150,000, for example, instead of 65,000, they should actually do check the merits of the 150,000 instead of do some kind of lottery and choosing those 150 instead of the others. So that's the kind of change we would like to see, and probably that's the kind of change Musk has in mind, or other people who are leading in the tech industry.
Absolutely. And I think that's what, how it's going to make better the immigration system because time to time we have to keep on changing. And that's very well said, Amin, that instead of focusing on the 65,000, it's better to look for the merit based. And also there's lottery system that's in the middle and that completely depends upon your luck. So there's a lot of, I would say, a lengthy process and even, very risky chance that there's no surety regarding the H1B workers. So basically, H1B workers have to, face a lot of challenges and look for lots of, they have been a concern on lots of different things. So I hope, Anjali, that, you got your answer. And in case you are looking towards applying the H1B visa, then please let us know and we can try our best to guide you as attorney Amin Yacoub is here, so he will guide you the best. Also, let's move ahead with Hardeep question, and he is saying that I have my H1B and H4 stamped. Due to medical conditions, I am planning to travel in H4. Can I change my status later to the H1B after recovery? And how long does it take to change status? And I would really appreciate it if you tell me about the process. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, that would actually amount to a legal advice. So I would have to read the case and I would have to read the documents before I can actually say something regarding this factual scenario. Otherwise, I can be easily mistaken. So if she would like to, or if he would like to reach out, I can take a look and let him or her know as soon as I can.
Absolutely. I would like to suggest Hardeep that you can please go ahead and contact attorney Amin Yacoub. And given us the contact detail, you can call him 407 578 1334. You can also email him on ayacoub@boginmunns.com. And you can visit his website that is www.boginmunns.com. So please go ahead and share the documents and share the details so that he can guide you the best. All right. Thank you so much, Hardeep, also for your question. And next is ZQ. So ZQ is saying that mass deportation is nothing new in America. It has been done before. Apart from Trump, has any other president of USA taken such strong deportation measures? Okay, let's answer this. What's your call on that, Amin?
Yeah, it has happened in the past. Usually, Republican presidents are known to strong deportation measures as opposed to Democratic presidents, for example. But we have to understand that Trump is the strongest Republican president who actually applied this measure to the extreme. So, to my knowledge, no one ever in the past uh, deported as many illegal and documented immigrants as Trump. Uh, so it's kind of interesting to see because he's an extremist. So it's kind of interesting to see again what's next in terms of the immigration policies that he's trying to reform. But I believe it's not going to touch the legal people living in the U.S. no matter what the status is.
Hope so. Hope so that happens, and the legal people, they are completely safe. All right. Here we have another viewer, and he is Ayan. So Ayan is saying that any thoughts on whether the new administration's policies will impact marriage-based immigration? I'm writing as a LPR who has been awaiting the approval of my spouse for past 16 months.
I don't think so. So the only kind of immigration that is not spotted as a problem or not contested in this scenario is actually marriage-based immigration, and basically that is because it involves a legal permanent resident or a U.S. citizen. So as long as someone has a legal status as a legal permanent resident with a green card or a U.S. citizen, it's very difficult for the administration to actually disallow them from having a spouse who's from a foreign country, for example. So I don't foresee any changes to the marriage-based immigration system in the near future.
Okay, I think that's a good news. So thank you so much, Ayan, for your question. And in case if you still have any follow-up doubt, then please go ahead and share with our viewers. And also, I would like to take a permission from Amin. You know, Amin, we have been across 1 hour, but I still have some questions from my viewers. So it would be great if you could let us extend the session for 5 more minutes. Will that be okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right. That's so great. Okay, so here I have a question from Sagar, and Sagar actually put this question on WhatsApp. So he's asking that, hello, I'm Sagar. My I-140 was filed with employer A, and my wife's H4 EAD was filed with them with expiry date in March 2026. In January 2024, I switched to a new company B with H1B valid through February 2027. So this company did not agree to transfer I-140. Also, we didn't make any changes to my wife EAD that was issued while I was at company A. I have an offer from a new company C, and they are currently in process of filing the H1B and has agreed to support I-140 transfer in this year. So shall I request company C to file my wife's EAD to extend along with my H1B in premium, or do they need to transfer my I-140 first?
Yeah, again, that's illegal advice, unfortunately. So I'm not allowed to say it on a podcast or a broadcast. So he or she can reach out to me, and I will be able to answer them in hopefully in 24 hours.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, Sagar, you know, for to answer this very specifically, I think Amin needs to have a look on your documents and need to consult you personally. So please go ahead and contact him on the contact details, and you can also email him, and that would be more preferable. Or you can also call him on the given number as for your convenience, and you can share your doubts and you can share your documents. All right. Thank you, Sagar, for your question. And coming back to Akshay, Akshay is saying that, hi, I'm Akshay. I have a question. My wife's visa is valid until September 2026. She's on H4 visa. However, her passport expires in April 2026. So when we recently entered US, the USA Border Control Officer allowed her entry only till April 2026. She gave us the option to renew the passport and re entry US before April 26 or go to LA. Can we submit our updated passport in USCIS office in LA? Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. I'm not allowed to give any legal advice over
Mhm.
broadcast, but they should feel free to email me these facts and any documents, and I will take a look and answer them. And basically, the first answer via email and phone call even is for free, so they shouldn't be discouraged from communicating such information. I will try my best to actually answer them in 24 hours if that's.
Absolutely. And I think that's how it should be because it's not that possible that just with a few details, the attorney can answer. It needs to be a proper detailed answers and need to look a lot of in the case. So it's a request, Sagar and Akshay, to please go ahead and contact Eamon's details so that you can have your answer. And it's definitely going to be very helpful. So make sure that you contact him on the contact details. And with that, Amin, we have come across more than an hour, and it was really insightful. It was so fruitful. But my last question from you, I would like to know that what advice would you like to give to those, especially the H1B workers who are currently in the US, who are so afraid, who are so tensed, and what advice would you like to give them because just to make them little relaxed, just to make them what solution would you like to provide them?
Um, so I would like to say that you're lucky that you're having an H1B. That's the first thing. You should actually
Yeah.
be grateful for having an H1B. Many people fight for it and can never get it. So that's the first thing. Second thing is if you're having a newborn right now, uh, go ahead and get the U.S. passport for them. Even though I believe that is gonna the block is gonna remain in place until further notice. Third advice, I would say, the final rule of H1B is expansive in nature. So, and Biden's administration made sure that it passed as law as opposed to an executive order. That means there is more protection to the final H1B rule than being in an executive order, and it cannot be reversed by an executive order. So
Mhm.
you basically future H1Bs might actually be lucky that this H1B final H1B rule was passed and went into effect before Biden's administration left. And Trump was asked about it, and he didn't demonstrate any intent to actually reverse the final H1B rule until now. Until he changes his mind in the future, you should feel safe about the H1B and safe about the new H1B rule, which actually allows entrepreneurs to apply and self-sponsor themselves. Just remain relaxed and see what happens, and hopefully nothing bad will happen to legal immigrants because that's what Trump said at least in different rallies.
Absolutely. And that's what we can trust on his statements also because he also knows the value of the H1B workers, right? And that's why he is in favor of Elon Musk as well. So thank you
Right.
so much, Attorney Amin Yacoub. It has been really a great session, and I knew that it's really going to be a wonderful one because our first session also was very amazing. So thank you so much for this, and it was really great to have you here. So I would say thank you to all our viewers who has joined us, and it was so good to have you also. Friends, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel as we'll be coming up with more episodes and more insightful episodes. So stay connected, stay updated, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you,
Thank you.
Eben. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. It was really lovely. It was so insightful. Good luck. Stay connected, stay informed, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Me, Sam, signing off for now.